January 16, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2002 chart using NinjaTrader 8. There was no economic data to really move the markets one way or the other. Today I didn't really find too many setups, and it's unfortunate because there was these large swing legs down. It looked like it was three legs, one leg, a correction, a second leg, two legs, two small leg correction, and another big leg. It looked like it was a big leg up, maybe kind of a sharp spike in a shallow channel. Then for the most part, it was just sideways consolidation. Now there was really no range to try to capture this that really was useful. And I'm starting the video review a little earlier before the market closed because I have a couple things I got to take care of. And so I'm just going to go into the setups right now. I did manage to take one trade and was profitable. And I noticed that if I didn't take that one setup, there was another setup that shortly came after that would have been also a decent setup. So I'm going to go into the trades right now. Pre-market, market, pre-market, the price action, it just pushed up, broke, tested the high, came down on this purple down channel. It bounced sideways. I saw a second entry short here. I mean, I didn't see it in real time when I start my trading, which is right at the start of this gray line. I did look back and I did see that, oh, there was probably a second entry, shouldn't be a second entry short, second entry long potential right there. But again, I don't trade the pre-market, so it's neither here nor there. It's just something I noticed, marked it for myself. Okay, so I move sideways, breaks down, and it starts to open on this green up channel. This green up channel is shallow, but it is pretty well defined because you have some good touches on the low side, good touches on the high side. Right on the open, you only really have a first entry long. Then you have a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, and technically a higher low. But I also saw it as a visual first entry, pullback, second entry. I thought this was a possible trade. It's bounce off this green up channel. It's two legs down from the top. EMA is starting to act as support. Decent signal bar. I wasn't that concerned that it might have a resistance right here, although it could. But I was thinking more likely it was going to push to the high side due to the context of the price action. But I didn't take this trade because it is a little early. It's only at 6:36 Pacific Standard, which is like 6 minutes after the open. But if you look back at the pre-market, there wasn't that much price action. So this is actually probably a trade worth taking. But today I just didn't feel like it, and I just was a little more cautious. So note to myself that if I see something like this, it's probably worthwhile to take a shot at. Prices kept moving. If you look at it, it would be just enough for a 1 point scalp because I likely would have entered. Let's say you entered one tick above here. So it's like you would need about 6 points to get out. So you do have you have 8 ticks. So you do have enough for a quick 1 point scalp. And if you try to go for two, well, depending on where you got in, you likely might not have gotten it, and you would have gotten stopped out on probably one of these candles here. The prices move down in this yellow down channel break. And it hits a sideways consolidation, no clean setups. You technically have a new low, first entry short. You don't really have a second entry short here because it's inside to this. So it's hard to claim a second entry short. If this tick had moved above this guy, or this candle had ticked one tick above this guy and then came back down, then you could argue maybe there's a second entry short, but this is congested, nothing really here. Pushes down on this orange down channel. Unfortunately, I wish there was some way to have entered this because this is a nice, very organized, clean move down. Plus, if you're very conservative on your runners, like I am, keep it one tick below or one tick above the previous high or low, and you just kind of drag it down. So your runner wouldn't have gotten stopped pretty nicely all the way down to about maybe right here. And that's already a pretty decent, almost, well, excuse me, at least a 10 point scalp or a 10 point runner. So that would have been, this is one of those dream runner instances where prices of the next candle never tick above the previous. And it would have just been a nice, safe, very gradual follow all the way down. So then prices continue moving, breaks out of this orange down channel. Looks like it's two legs up. You do have a second entry short here. I don't like that because it's above the EMA. It's not the right, it's a bullish candle. Break, and it starts pushing back down. Looks like it's break up this red down channel, which as I was playing before, and it breaks and tests the low. But as it kept going, I was thinking actually this red down channel looks like it might fit better as this larger yellow down channel. Yellow down channel has a break on this side, first entry short, pull back. I'm reluctant to take a second entry short in the same direction as this previous momentum down because it might have an extra stronger correction. Even though that has an EMA rejection, the EMA for the most part in this area isn't as reliable because it has prices above and below it now. And you just recently made a new low. So to take a short here, you're asking for prices to continue back down when traders have already established a new low. So it gives it even more reason not to trust this trade necessarily. Prices then move up. It looks like it's moving up. What I established is a green up channel. Breakout here, pushes down. I end up drawing this channel coming down, but I don't trust it that much. So I never colored it in, but it's just some guidelines to keep me aware that there could be a bounce or rejection point. So it creates localized highs, a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but this starts moving sideways, and I'm not a big fan of that. Starts moving down. What I think is this. Let me go ahead and adjust this. Initially, I had it touching this one. And as you can see, when it has a break and it continues down, it actually looks okay here, but I actually changed it to something like this later. But in either cases, it doesn't really change the context because you know prices are moving down. But if we kept it here, you do have a break, the continuation to test the lows, and as it kept going, then I thought, okay, maybe this isn't a breakout. And that's when I redrew my channel, made it slightly wider, like here. Try that again, right here. Still no trades. It's new low of day. It's a first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short here. I'm not the biggest fan of this because I call it an almost trade. You are looking for a break, which you did have of this blue down channel, and you're looking for a test of the low. You could argue there is a first entry short, and this is setting up for a second entry short. EMA could act as resistance. One thing I wasn't sure of was after the break of this red up channel has tested the high, I'm not the biggest fan of this because it does feel a little congested. I was hoping for a break confirming the second entry short and then a lower high. So here you have a confirmed second entry short now, but I don't like the follow through. I don't like that this is pretty much a doji bar, small body, and it's green. So I waited. Then I'm definitely not a big fan of this bar being inside to here, and then it flushes up. So no trade here. Glad I marked it as an almost trade. Prices then continue moving up. So it moves up what I think is this orange up channel. Also looks like it's two legs up. It gets kind of a reaction on this down channel, but not too much. It breaks out. I'm looking for a potential fail breakout and resumption back down because overall the market is bearish right now. But it keeps going up, break on the high side, bounces. So I'm thinking, okay, this orange channel is clearly in play. Looking for a potential second entry long. You don't get a second entry long. It just kind of keeps going. This is the high side. Now has a break here. I'm thinking if this orange channel is actually here, so there was no break, this is actually the first break on the low side. You have a first entry long, pullback, and it gives you a potential second entry long. So I actually thought this is a trade, and I will say initially I had this collapse down to here, thinking this is a trend line because it has starting from here, one touch, two touch, three touch. But go ahead and put it back to where it was. Didn't mean to do that because I draw it into this yellow up channel later. So I saw this as first entry long pullback, second entry long. I like that there's kind of a correction going up. This green down channel may want to test the low, but I like that there's a test needed for this break of this orange up channel. I actually entered right at the highs of this guy. See if I can bring this down. Got my 1 point scalp and then moved my stop, which actually had it down here, 1 point above my entry. So I got stopped out, but then it gives you an even better trade. Unfortunately, after I got this trade, I wasn't in the mindset to quickly jump on this one. So it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, my first and only trade of the day. But then if you wait a little longer, this actually turns out to be a nicer setup because it confirms my yellow up channel, which has slightly been tweaked. Confirms my yellow up channel with 4 touches now. Really nice signal bar, better than this guy. Enough room to the high side. Clearly prices look like they're kind of moving back up. You could argue maybe there is a potential trading range here. And then to be cautious that That, there we go. Be cautious that you might be buying into the highs, but the way I saw it is even if there was a range here, this is how I would have drawn my range, and it's breaking out. So there's clearly enough momentum for at least a 1 point scalp. So I thought this is also a possible trade. Let me kind of squeeze things back down. Okay, then prices continue moving. It bounces here, so it's confirming nicely this yellow up channel. Hits the high side, almost. Keeps going. Break of the high side. Now it looks like it's coming back down. It's only a first entry long. Pull back. You have a second entry long here, but now it's kind of far from everything. It's not really supporting anything that was happening up here. So in order to take a trade, I want to see a higher low above the EMA to see a resumption of this yellow up channel going up. You kind of have a higher low here, but it's ugly. And the follow through, you just have candles inside each other. If you look 2 candles to the left, 2 candles to the right, they're all inside this guy. So it's not giving me clear direction on what to do yet. Pushes up, and it looks like it's in this purple trading range now. And it looks like it's pushing down, pushes up. There's a triple test, and I noticed that there is some kind of support being respected here. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, triple test. So although I had this as a trading range, I was thinking, is it possible that it could be the range could be starting from the high side here to this support area? So I was keeping that in mind, kind of playing 2 ranges. The new low, it's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short, I thought it was a possible trade, but it is a little aggressive. It's coming from the top of this range for sure. And in order to try to take this trade, I was thinking if this is more like a midline of a range that has the low down here, there could be enough momentum to push down. But in order for me to want to take this trade, I'd want to see this break below this purple range, which I thought was in play, breaks out, pushes. So you'd have to kind of be quick with it. But once it touches down here, then the trade would have been done. So I thought this was kind of an aggressive trade. So for something like this, I want a lower high confirmation. You kind of get a lower high confirmation here, but I didn't mark it. The reason I didn't mark it was now if this support's in play, I'd be selling into this potential support bounce. Because as I said, I was debating whether the range, see if I can color it in, I'll make it green. I was debating if this is actually the range that's in play, and this purple one was not. Whoops. We'll go ahead and delete this for now. So that's how come I didn't really think it was worth a short here, even if it was a lower high. And it pushes down, starts moving down this kind of weakly. I mean, it fits, but it's not the best green down channel. Bounces off of here, pushes back up. You have a technically first entry short, second entry short, no trade here. Pushes, kind of gets congested, localized high, first entry long pullback. I was hoping for a second entry long here, so I wanted this to tick above and then create a higher low, but it never showed up. So it just kind of creates a visual first entry long pullback. Well, not even a visual, it is a technical first entry long, second entry long. It's an inside bar, wrong color. I'm not liking this. After I saw this shoot up, I was hoping for a higher low, but it never shows up. Kind of pushes up to the high side. I thought this is some kind of larger trading range in play, but I don't trust it all that much. So although there's a failed breakout of this high side, who's to say that this is actually the top of the range? So it flushes back down, moves nicely down this orange down channel. You have a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but this is just not, it's just kind of sitting out in the middle of nowhere. There's no other key entry point to hang your hat off of. Because if you take your second entry long, what other than the second entry long is prices coming back to really test this? Not too much. So I'm looking for a higher low, but then I was also thinking this orange down channel has a break. It's probably going to test the low. And technically it tests the low here, makes a second attempt, then it does actually successfully get to the bottom. It gets a little jumbled, starts moving up. You really only have a technical count first entry short. You technically have a second entry short here, but it looks like it visually looks like it's a 1 attempt down, second attempt down, and maybe a lower high here. But I'm not the biggest fan of this congestion. So I would have called this a visual first entry short, second entry short visual. Lower high here, because it is clearly lower than this. But by then this occurs, so I'm clearly thinking, okay, this is probably the range that's in play. I'm going to color it in a slightly different color, make it purple. Potential fail breakout. Localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long, again, no higher or low, just gets a little messy and it breaks to the low side, comes back down. It kind of touch confirms here and here, but it's not enough to really trust it yet. Then it pushes back up, pushes back down. So now I'm thinking, well, this is actually pretty late in the day when I actually started the video, but we're started thinking to start the video. This is maybe a support. So I was thinking, okay, there's some kind of support here. There is a lot of clear space up here. It does look like it's 2 legs down. Maybe it's going to reverse, but in order for me to trust that, I need a clean setup above the EMA to go along. It's a little noisy. You do have a first entry short. You could argue for second entry short here, but now I need a higher low. I'm not a big fan of these double dojis. Plus, it's getting toward the end of the day, and it kind of pushes into the close. So not too many clean setups toward the end of the day. It does slow down for sure. The price action is slow, kind of like yesterday over here. But yesterday did offer a couple more setups as opposed to today, which I think the setups just kind of came right around, I would say early to midday. And then after that, nothing too exciting. So I don't think there's any. I think there is some trading Monday. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's a holiday, but I think the markets close early, so I'm likely not going to even bother trading. So hopefully that was helpful.